Hello, greaseballs, and welcome to the Grease.
What's the Grease girl?
Where we overanalyze this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 9. I am joined today by none other than Joshita.
Hi, I loved your emphasis on the Grease. How are you?
I'm good.
She's lovely.
How are you?
Fabulous. I'm here, I'm queer.
Happy Pride. Last week, our tops were Plastique and the producer, Roxxxy Andrews. I'm still just gagged.
It was honestly probably the most entertaining bit of any episode we've had thus far this season, and I just commend her for that.
Gotmik is snipped this week. And did you buy it or did you rent it that Roxxxy did not know who she was standing behind?
I'm really neither here nor there about it. My real question is, why did she ask where Nina was? Because she just wasn't going to snip her?
Maybe because Nina gave her a badge.
That's the only thing I can think of, but it was never addressed. I'm wondering, why did she even say, I need to know where Nina is? Unless A, she just wasn't going to block her because she gave her a badge, or she knew where everybody was. Whatever
is going on, I love every second of this mess. I love a mess.
Roxxxy is now Miss Frontrunner Andrews with 3 badges and pretty much top of the heap at this point. Gotmik was not buying it. Gotmik was not even renting it. Immediately called out Roxxxy, you knew what was happening. And I think I tend to agree a little bit with Gotmik, but you know what? I don't really care in the end because it was so entertaining.
It is a new day in the workroom, and Chanel still does not have a badge.
And we're halfway through the season.
But our mini challenge is like a rock the vote.
They called it a straw poll? What did they call?
Straw poll, yeah.
My specialty's in a different kind of poll.
But the winner for this week's mini challenge gets a badge.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
I think the best moment out of all of this was when they asked who has the biggest, juiciest, fattest ass. Everybody said Roxxxy. But the thing is, I also said Vanjie. I think because I just have that seared into my brain where she's shaking her ass from the first episode. I was like, oh yeah, Vanjie. And then I was like, oh wait, no, that's Roxxxy's whole thing.
Yes, thinking juicy mama.
Georgeous, aka Georgeous, wins the mini challenge and $2,500 for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Does that name seem fucking weird to you?
It does. For mental illness?
Yeah, a 4, right?
Miss Born to Do Drag wins a beautiful benefactress badge out of nowhere for a mini challenge against Nina West in the end, but she pulled through. So, Georgeous is now a member of the 2 badge club. And
she also gets to choose the order for our maxi challenge, which is the roast. As far as picking the order, everybody just kind of picks it.
Yeah.
Rather than Georgeous actually deciding where they go.
Except Nina.
I think Nina is being very self-aware in this moment, saying that she doesn't want to go last. Because, everybody assumes that she can do comedy and she can do stand-up. But I think she is very real for clocking herself and being like, I'm not really a stand-up comedian. Even
if she were to go do a stand-up set, it would probably be something a little bit more tongue-in-cheek than it would be Cuddy.
Shout out to Bob.
All winners too.
So we start off the roast with Chanel, who is really, really professional. You get the feeling that she has hosted before. Overall, I thought her performance seemed really short. It almost seemed like it was really cut down because she really only talks about Georgeous as far as the other queens go.
Yeah.
But she was really professional with it. And I have her in the top of my But Is It Fashion tier.
But is it fashion?
On the runway for her atomic blonde look, this seemed almost like it was kind of last minute or something. It doesn't really look completely on the theme. It's primal, kind of. I guess I have to nooch.
In the roast, Chanel I felt her energy was really what kind of did it for me. I thought she was very professional, very drag host queen. And I just like love that kind of professional energy that you get when a queen goes up and does a set like that. She looked amazing. I thought she had some good jokes. I thought she could have been a little bit more, she could have gone further with like the reading, but I do have her in the bottom of my all right mama this week for the roast, actually.
All right.
On the runway, yeah, I agree. It looks more like wolf lady wife situation to me.
Prehistoric or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like she just fell out of a tree, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of reminiscent of the look that she did where she had like the huge chest recently
The
this
scorpion
season.
look,
Yeah,
yeah.
the scorpion look. I just don't like it very much. I'm gonna gross this, actually. I really am not a big fan of it.
Gross.
Georgeous. And Georgeous said, RuPaul told me to do something incredibly macho and masculine, so that's what I'm doing, bitch. And I think that was a good idea for her to just go with it and just like do exactly what Ru said. I think that there should have been a little bit more going on character-wise with like the straight part of her. Like she should have come on and tried to like act DL or something for a minute and then snapped out of it and got real gay just to give us that really harsh comparison. She looked like she was having more fun than she has in these challenges in the past. So I have Georgeous in But Is It Fashion?
But is it fashion?
And on the runway, bitch. Oh my god. This
Girl.
hits my little gay soul. Like this generally kind of like isn't my aesthetic. But I fucking love this look. I think it's amazing. She looks like a warrior with like the little sparks things that she had going on her
Yes, that
fingers.
was so cool.
It was such a cute little effect that was so simple but effective. And yeah, I super grease this look.
Grease.
I'm glad that you also think there needed to be more development in the concept of Georgeous's character, because I do agree that it worked really well, and sometimes putting on a character or like a frog hat can help you get out of those constraints that you put on yourself.
Right.
And I think that worked really well for Georgeous. Everybody was like gagged by it, and it wasn't super funny. I wasn't laughing out loud, but it also is really, really hard to make me laugh when it comes to stand-up comedy. And a lot of times queens kind of go for like an obvious joke, and that's probably not going to make me laugh. So
Right.
like, I really commend Georgeous for this performance because for her, it was really, really good. And she really stepped outside of her comfort zone, and she delivered that.
Yeah.
And that was a really big risk for her. So she is also in But Is It Fashion?
But is it fashion?
And this runway look is everything. It is like bubblegum Tina Turner in Beyond Thunderdome with the, oh my god, the wig. I mean, just everything about it is so good. The accents and the sparkler thing
So
was
good.
amazing. Like, everything in it was so good, and she was like really giving fucking attitude on the runway. It was so good. Yeah, mega grease.
Grease.
Plastique Tiara, she did this kind of the same thing with the characterization. And again, I think it worked really well for her. The jokes themselves were like, it seemed like I had heard kind of a lot of them before. The sitting on the popsicle, the you're white, so if you were a spice, it would be flour. I've definitely heard those jokes before. I live for anything Sailor Moon. I'm a huge Sailor Moon fan. So I'm really happy that this worked for her, because again, like, sometimes that characterization can really be what you need to like get out of that mindset that you have. It's still, but is it fashion for me on the actual comedy?
But is it fashion?
Have you ever seen Turbo Teen?
No.
It's this show, this like cartoon from the like late 80s or early 90s where there's like this teenage boy that turns into a car. And it's hysterical, like the actual like body horror transformation he goes through to turn into a car. So Plastique is giving like the sex doll version of that. I lived for this. Like, it's so cool. And even the makeup that she chose to do with it was just like so beautiful and kind of unexpected. I think she looks amazing. It's a grease, obviously.
Grease.
I liked the jaded Sailor Moon kind of after the con smoking a cigarette idea. And I think to be honest, where Georgeous's character lacked, Plastique really kind of soared. I still died when she was talking about Michelle's vagina being so deep that Leah Remini is still hiding from
That was
Scientology.
really good. That was really good.
That one made me laugh out loud. I've got her in All Right Mama this week, actually, just because I think that she did do what Georgeous didn't.
All right.
The runway looks really cool. It's giving me like definitely from like some anime like Chainsaw Man world type of idea. I could have stood to see this a little bit darker, like a little bit more like horror, where like
That'd
she
be
was
cool.
rusty, a little bit bloody or something kind of scary. Like that would be really cool to see from Plastique. But this is still amazing. Everything was constructed really well. For a second I thought those were straws going into her ass, but either way.
I'll suck that up.
Yeah, and her face looks amazing. Everything's great. This is a huge grease.
Grease.
Miss Roxxxy Andrews, and I love her look for this roast.
Yes!
The roast overall, I thought it was a little too nice. I thought it was a little bit like, best friends race. I'm gonna be like, not insulting as much as possible type of thing. Now, the joke about RuPaul not remembering anybody's name was fucking hilarious and
Yeah.
like too real even, because we've seen that happen in public, like when Ru can't remember queens' names. But yeah, other than that, I wasn't like super impressed. I do wish Roxxxy had a bit of a glow up on these skills rather than other ones. I've got her in Cut Your Wigs Up this week for her roast performance.
Cut your fucking wigs up.
On the runway, I honestly, this is really simple, but I fucking love this look. Her body looks so hot in this look. Like she's giving like womana hip body titty moment. Like the only thing that I'm not a big fan of is honestly the mug. The mug looks almost like
It's
she's
a little different.
It looks different, and she looks kind of sad from a distance. Like it's like she painted herself a little sad. But everything else I fucking love. I'm still gonna give this a grease.
Grease.
The dress that she wore in the roast was beautiful. Everything else, like, the delivery was solid, but it wasn't all that funny. It was a little kind of like, I'm a nice girl, or like, I think sometimes people are like afraid to really go there in a roast, and the performances where nothing and nobody is safe is just better for this kind of thing. I also had this in Cut Your Wigs Up. Ha!
Cut your fucking wigs up.
Atomic Blonde, I don't know if this really reads as that, but I mean, what does Atomic Blonde really mean? Like, she is wearing a blonde wig. So
That's fair.
and one could argue that if the brief is supposed to be something post-apocalyptic, like this could be post-apocalyptic if there was, you know, an ice age or
Yeah.
whatever. Like I could get into this fantasy.
Yeah.
The mug is definitely different. It reminds me a little bit more of like the exaggerated eyes she did for like the Jessica Rabbit look. I'm just not over the moon about it, so I am gonna nooch. Oh my gosh. Vanessa Vanjie's roast. When she came out and said, I'm gonna say the N-word, the way that the gasp that I gusped and the scream that I scrumped,
Yes,
I was
what?
like, wait, is she really? Like, because, I mean, you never really know. A person, you never really know what's gonna happen. And you never know really what's gonna come out of Vanjie's mouth. And this, I think, is the first time where she's done the thing that we keep saying, like, Vanjie just needs to be Vanjie, rather than trying to be somebody else. It was extremely chaotic, but I was dying laughing at this. I don't care what anybody says. I have her in All Right Mama.
All right.
Her look on the runway, I really, really like, except the eye makeup is a little bit, like, I see how she was trying to mimic the dress. But I love the different patterns, and it's kind of Iris Van Herpen. It's kind of protozoa, like, I don't know, it's so cool. I will grease it.
Grease.
I think chaotic is the right word for Vanjie's set, but I think that there have been, like, her diva worship was even more chaotic. So I think she was a little bit a little bit more honed in certain senses. And I do think that she was one of the ones that was like, it is a roast. I do need to read these queens and kind of be cutty and cross the line a little bit. I was really happy with it when she was, it's a roast! It's a roast! And she's like throwing her hair all around. I thought she was so funny. Outfit is fucking rotted. I don't give a shit what you say.
Oh yeah, during the roast it was bad.
It was bad. So bad. But I did really kind of enjoy her set. I've got her in, but is it fashion this week?
But is it fashion?
On the runway, I do like it. It is really interesting to look at. The wig that she's wearing, I really enjoy too. It took me a minute, like when I first looked at this like dress, I was like, ew, I hate that it's a mess. But like, it's actually pretty cool. I almost wish that the boots weren't there.
I kind of like that, but whatever.
But you're wrong. And other than that, though, I do like it. I'm still gonna grease it.
Grease.
Angeria, Paris, Van, Michael. I thought this was going to be pretty close to the last roast. Like, she'll probably come out and just have good energy and not be very funny. But I was wrong. Like, Angie really did a good job, in my opinion. I think she really embodied, like, the energy of a roast that you're supposed to have. Better than, like, anybody on the cast, I think, in my opinion. She started out with good jokes. The cast of the Haunted Mansion. She had memorable jokes, like Michelle being Rue's service animal. Like, there was like so many good ones. Rue, like Nina's proctologist, and she just kept going and going and going with it. And she just, I don't know, her energy is just so magnetic. And I was laughing my ass off. And particularly at the end when she was like, okay, bye, please vote for me for whatever the fuck all this is. Like,
That's so good.
I screamed. She really impressed me this week. I've got her in Slayana.
Slayana all day.
On the runway, I don't feel as good about this look. I feel like this is like the first draft of a look. Like when you see the queens trying a look on without makeup and stuff, like those cursed images.
Yes.
This is like her just messing around, seeing how it looks a little bit. I feel like there are 3 and 4 evolutions of this look down the line that she should have brought. It's not horrible or anything like disgusting or like get off the runway, but I'm nooching this.
For the roast, she definitely had the best delivery. She looked amazing in that white and gold bodysuit too. Like, she just looked really, really good. And she was honestly pretty savage. And yeah, the end where she was just like, whatever the fuck this is, that little like bit of awareness to what you're actually doing is so funny. Especially because, yeah, like, what the fuck is this challenge?
Slayana all day.
On the runway, I was not in love with this look. I think mostly the wig I really, really dislike. It's okay. You know, it seems like people kind of go 2 ways with the post-apocalyptic. It's either like, we're back in Neanderthal times, or it's 4,000 years in the future. This is getting a nooch. The drama. Gotmik. I'm sure that you have heard the tea.
I have,
that
yes.
Gotmik supposedly stole her jokes from somebody. Now, here's the real tea, is that they weren't funny. And it's, again, I've heard some of these jokes, like, oh, I'm not going to rip on Joshita because God already has.
Yeah.
Like, we've heard that at roasts on this show before.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't think whatever jokes she did steal were all that funny. So I guess I don't really mind that they're stolen. And also, like, I'm sure the majority of the reads that the queens had for the judges were written by other people.
Yeah.
A lot of times for All-Star seasons, for like the reading challenge or the comedy challenge, the queens will like hire somebody to write them some jokes. And that's showbiz, baby.
Sure is.
So I do overall have Gotmik for her performance in Cut Your Wigs Up.
Cut your fucking wigs up.
That being said, this runway, again, I mean, every episode we're just like glazing up Gotmik's runway package. It's so good.
I know.
This is Atomic Blonde, for sure. I don't know what that means, but it's this.
It's this.
It's just, you know, the kind of like cyborg details coming through like the ripped flesh is so cool. The asymmetry, even the colored contacts, which I'm not always like a huge fan of. This is, yeah, obviously a super mega Slayana grease all day.
Grease.
A lot of the same sentiments that you have on this one. I really loved Gotmik's roast on his original season, and this did not live up to it at all, in my opinion. So I was kind of let down. It was just more of a boring set. There were not really any big highlights for me. I've got Gotmik in Cut Your Wigs Up as well this week.
Cut your fucking wigs up.
On the runway, I do really like this look. I think it's really, really cool. And I think it was Michelle who was like, you got top surgery only to put it back on and stick it out for everyone to see. I was
Why
just
not?
like, the levels, Gotmik, the levels. Definite, amazing, probably the best, one of the best runway packages that we've seen. Big grease on this one.
Grease.
Nina West, who is our closer for the roast. First thing that annoyed me was how she kept laughing at all of her own jokes in like a very exaggerated way and making that dumb face where she's like kind of like that. I don't know. I feel like I rag on her all the time, but it's so easy to. I feel like her insecurities about going last kind of came true because she's really just too nice. It was a little bit like Disney roast, in my opinion. Just not the biggest fan. I've got her in Cut Your Wigs Up this week.
Cut your fucking wigs up.
And on the runway, gross.
Gross.
Nina has this really kind of contrived level of performance when she's on stage. And in certain things that she's doing that can be helpful, like the real estate challenge. She had like a great persona and that worked really well. But when you're doing a roast, like people don't really want to see that. And I agree, she's like pulling this face over and over. And I hate when somebody's like, oh, I can't do a roast, I'm too nice. Okay, that's boring. Move on. Like,
Anyone can be a bitch.
I'm not saying she should completely get rid of that persona that she has on stage, but if she could like pull it down a few levels, I think it would make up for. Well, I mean, her jokes weren't like alarming, but like it was okay.
Yeah.
But it was just really like offset by that performance. So I also have her in Cut Your Wigs Up.
Cut your fucking wigs up.
She did have one good joke that I will insert where she said that Plastique is so vain that she retouched her x-rays.
Her runway look, I actually really like the wig. I like for Atomic Blonde. I mean, she is an atom bomb. Like, that's pretty cool. The wig lights up. Like, I like the wig. That is cool. The rest of it is a little bit like, it's interesting to look at. But, like, when I'm looking at it, the bottom hem is, like, falling apart. Like, we don't always have to go for the obvious. I love campy drag. I love bad drag. But this is all stars. I want to see you outside of the box a little bit, especially for somebody like Nina, who is so campy. I would have loved her to just be blonde and sexy. That would be crazy for Nina, right? I will nooch it because I love that wig. In the top, this week we have Angeria Paris Van Michaels and Plastique Tiara.
I was excited that Plastique bagged the top 2 spot. She's kind of been like the Susan Lucci this season. This is like her third top 2 placement.
And Angie is finally not cut off. So great timing for her to actually be in the top. Mm-hmm. And the lip sync song that the queens will be performing to is Be My Lover.
Be my
Such a
lover.
fucking banger. Somebody didn't know all the words.
Again, bitch! How?
I will say that she did do it in the cuntiest way possible by just being like, and Angie just was, I mean, she was getting her life, bitch. She knew every fucking word to that song.
Yep.
It was really good.
Plastique handed this one over to Angie, not to take anything away from Angie's performance because she was electric. She was so good. She had so much energy. Just that really kind of campy. It's just, she brought everything we needed to have. She was serving us dinner. I laughed out loud. She was funny. And like, yeah, Plastique looked really good and everything. But like, when she pointed at Angie, it was like, Angie was like, don't mind if I do, bitch. Let me have another
Right.
feature. And
Yeah, she was like, oh, okay, so I will just win right now.
yeah, and either way it went, I think Angie would have still won because she was so good. Charismatic, magnetic, enigmatic, all of the matics. She was so good. I was so happy for her this week and so happy that she ultimately won the lip sync.
Finally, Angie is getting another beautiful benefactress badge.
Yes.
And she is joining the 2-badge club. I almost feel like she's getting a winner edit starting from here.
Mama, I was going to say the same thing after I watched this episode. I was like, are we looking at an Angeria win here?
I would love that.
That kind of I feel like her storyline really could bode well for a winner.
Finally, Roxxxy, Miss 3-badge Andrews, has been snipped.
Do you think she's gonna flip the script and just get pissed and just throw
Oh my god,
a
I
bitch fit
hope she
next
does.
week?
I hope she does.
Me too.
Please, God, I want to see that so bad. Please.
Me too.
No snipping here today. We need to award our best hair, best dressed, and also best mug, not in that order, for the week. Joshita, who do you have for best hair?
This week for best hair, I actually have Roxxxy for her wig in the roast. I loved that big, giant, it was just a perfect circle silhouette. It was beautiful.
I have Georgeous for her atomic blonde, her big blonde mohawk.
Yes, that's a good choice.
I would wear that entire outfit. Why are you laughing?
Because I could see you in it. For who do you have this week for best mug?
This one was hard. I feel like there wasn't really, well, you know, there was a couple sneakers, but I feel like everybody had a pretty good looking mug. I think I am going to go with Plastique. Because it was like intricate.
Yeah.
And it was like a reveal. And it revealed to something that like wasn't super expected. Because it wasn't like her normal mug under there.
I also have Plastique for best mug this week. I didn't really like connect the dots, but you're right. I didn't necessarily expect her mug to look like that with the look that she presented at first.
And finally, we have best dressed Joshita. Who do you have?
This week for best dressed, I actually have Georgeous for her atomic blonde runway. I loved it so much. It was so gay, so camp, so cute.
I also have Georgeous.
Yay!
I mean, she really like nailed the brief.
Oh,
It was like retro futuristic 80s, and she had tricks.
Come on.
Come on.
It was
Mom.
everything we needed.
Well, Joshita, do you have anything else to say? Speak now or forever hold your grease.
I think I'm gonna hold my grease until I explode.
Wow.
Just kidding. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.